So, Emmy, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges you've seen executives and professionals have with their international job searches?
Wow. Well, I guess because I'm coming at it, I guess, from two angles, both from a client perspective, but also from friends and family. Because let's face it, half of my friendship circle are expats somewhere in the world, because that's how we met and how our paths crossed. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see is the people who never go at all. And it breaks my heart. So people who go, oh, I'm, in my 30s, 40s, 50s, it's too late, you know, or it would be too hard to uproot the kids, or my partner doesn't want to. And my advice would be, look, it's a big deal to fully relocate. So if you have other stakeholders in your life, like family, taking them for an extended trip or finding a way to kind of try before you buy is the best way to combat that thing. Because it could very well be when you all get there, like none of you actually like it. And you're like, oh, well, I'm really glad we tried this month-long experiment. But yeah, the biggest mistake most often are the opportunities you don't take. Because the learnings you get along the way, even if you quote unquote fail and come back home, I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? That's always what I ask. What's the worst that's going to happen is that you or someone in your family is not going to like it and you're going to end up coming back. That is not a failure. And I want to say that to anyone out there who's thinking about this, because I used to feel like, oh, well, if I come home, metaphorically with the tail between my legs and it didn't work, I'm going to look like a fool or like an idiot. That is not the case at all. If anything, having a go is one of the bravest things you can do. Having a go and admitting that, man, that really wasn't for me. I have done that with several roles, by the way. So when I worked in the UK, I randomly got into finance, and anyone who knows me knows that spreadsheets and finance and formulas and whatever, that ain't my thing. It's never going to be. I have other strengths. But so I realized pretty quickly that that line of work, as good a leader as I had, it just wasn't for me. And the same thing goes for picking a country or a location that you move to. It can work for you not at all. You can feel from the start that it's not right. Or you can feel down the track, like I did in the UK. I was like, I feel like this experience has played its path. I've been here for a couple of years. I've got great friends. I've got a great job, but I'm ready for the next thing, whatever that looks like. So rehash, the biggest mistake often is to not have a go, and that goes, I think, for many things in life. The other big mistake I see people make is not listening to each other after they've landed. So what I mean by that is that the thing in my experience that makes relocations fail the fastest is when, let's say hypothetically, the husband or the man in the relationship got a really great job and a really great package. And it's one of those things, we can't say no to this, let's go. And whether you have kids or not, it doesn't really matter. But you land on the other side. We have the classic, what we call the trailing spouse. And it can happen either way, by the way. I've seen the trailing spouse be, a husband, and the woman is working through the experience. But the person working gets a fast track to land. We got to remember this. They get to go to work. They get to chat to people. They have drinks and networking stuff and lunches and clients. And at some point, they're basically getting like this fast track runway to land. The partner, on the other hand, what do? And I've been in this seat several times. They set up the house. They get things organized for schools. They might even have to go out and pick out a car. They have to do all the boring practical stuff they have to do at home, but they have to do it in a condensed window, usually. And working out all the basics. Where's the post office? How does that work here? Where's the grocery store? If I want to buy alcohol, do I have to go to a separate store to the supermarket? How does that work in this country? So there's all those little niggly things. And in the meantime, the working partner comes home and goes, hey, I had such a great day, da da da. Or, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to talk. And the one who's been at home all day doing problem solving or getting settled, it's like, I'm dying for connection. I'm dying to connect with you and talk about how hard today was, but I don't want to complain. So communication shuts down in some form. It's super, super common. And like I said, this could go either way. It has nothing to do with gender. And often relocations fail because what the party that is working less or not working at all is going, I gave this a chance because we simply couldn't say no, and I'm over it. it's been 3 months, 6 months, whatever. I miss my mom. I miss my family. It's especially here in Australia, it's really far. If you've got family in Europe or the US or something, it's not like you can nip over for the weekend. So those are some of the big mistakes I see people make. And those are outside of work. We got to remember, like we said before, life and work is about the whole person that we are, including the network and the people that we have outside of work. So those are actually some of the biggest mistakes I've seen in a professional setting. And it can be quite heartbreaking when someone who's really loving their job has to go home because they couldn't make it work with the logistics around it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I've seen that relationship dynamic really take a toll on someone's career goals or path, just because, to your point, they're not necessarily having those types of deep conversations with their partner.